biggest story of the day, a story of a military invasion of Ashaiman, but one that has raised a lot of questions. And many of you have seen the videos that have dominated social media. In fact, it has been trending on Twitter, on Facebook, almost everywhere. It is the pictures and videos, very strong videos indeed, of violent attack on civilians in Ashaiman. Many of them have been asked, as you see in some of the videos, to roll on the floor. Some of them were kicked. Others were simply just assaulted. The rooms were broken into, etc., by the military. And we have a case of the helicopters swirling above. And tonight we're going to look at on PMS tonight, military attacks and invasion. We're going to be looking to speak to some of the actors, but also getting the clarity on what happened in Ashaiman. But those are the circumstances surrounding why this isn't the first case, but it's happened many times. How do you deal with it more substantively? And I want to, just for the start, tell you what we've seen today. So far, we know that at least 72 residents of Ashaiman have been taken away by the military. Now, the interesting thing about the number is that as of 6 p.m., the Ashaiman MP who put out this number says he's been moving from one military barracks to the next, looking for these 72 residents of Ashaiman who can be found. We spoke to a parent who says that he cannot find 3 of his children. And he narrates the circumstances surrounding which they were taken. They were in a room. The 3 children were in a room. He was away. He's a retired officer from the immigration service. He was away when the children called him, panicking that their door was being broken into, and it was the military officers who were doing the same. And he rushed home. His children have already been taken away by the military. Part of the 72 that are currently, you can say, missing because nobody knows where they are. The MP and a team of lawyers have been looking for these 72. The MP says the MP is a member of the assembly, so he's checked with the Security Council and the police command. They don't know where the 72 residents are as we speak tonight, and all fingers are now pointing at the military for doing this. And they were deployed not only just boots on the ground, they had helicopters swirling above in Ashaiman. So this is a big deal. We've seen a lot happening across the country, and we'll go through that for you. And this is what has been recounted today in terms of the incidents in Ashaiman, as we've seen. But I want to share with you a bit of what we've also learned, moving beyond what has happened today to the reported cases that we've also tracked. Just to put what has happened today in a bigger context, we found 10 cases of military brutality in the last 3 years alone, 10 across the country. But 2 of them stand out. In other words, what has happened today isn't the first. It's happened many times in the past. We count 10. And I want to take you to 2 examples that many remember. In June 2021, we know the case of the Jira, where on the show we did that particular breaking news story, where you see military men kneeling, taking aim at civilians who were demonstrating. May have turned violence at some point, but we saw those pictures. It prompted a commission was set up to look into those disturbances and the role the military played in those disturbances that led to the death of one person. Many people were injured as a result of that in the wake of those protests. And then also in July 2021, again, 86 soldiers in Wa. They stormed the Tindama and brutalized some residents of the area. Now, the accusation then by the military at that time was that one of their officers had their phone stolen, and so they decided to take the matter into their own hands and hit the streets. And this was captured on video. They were just rampaging through the streets, asking civilians to lie in gutters. And we had a similar tale from Ashaiman yesterday. A man told us that he was forced to lie in a gutter. And this was at time, dawn, around 3 a.m. it was pouring, or it was a heavy downpour, and so the gutters were full. I was asked to lie in a gutter. He says he even had to swallow some of the gutter water. I mean, so that's the situation with these two, but telling all that we have recounted. In all cases, the military believed that they had been wronged. In the case of Ashaiman, we must say that a military officer had been killed and stabbed under tragic circumstances, and that is completely condemnable. And the police had already begun investigating this matter when the military decided to step in. And if you look at what this had meant, and this is why I'm looking at the bigger picture, this had meant that our human rights record has been affected on a global stage. If you look at the Ghana's Human Rights Index, you see the trend is trending downwards, which is not a good story to tell. The argument isn't that it's only because of these recorded military brutalities, but certainly they form part of the narrative that has resulted in the downward trend of a human rights record on the international stage. And this is not good. I mean, if you play on the international level and the international stage, this record will be an important factor in the way the rest of the world relate to you. And I'm pretty sure you've seen what has happened to Saudi Arabia, to Qatar, and countries that have been tagged as with poor human rights records. Each time they invest in any country, it's become a big deal because of that record. You don't want Ghana to be there. Look at how significantly we've trended from a high of 5.3 in the index all the way down to 4.1 in 2022. So this is a terrible story that will possibly add to this particular narrative. When I return, I'll bring in my guests, try and nail down what the challenge is and why we often see the military engage in these acts and how do you deal with them. There is the police service. They are mandated to investigate murders of all kinds, right? Especially because this military officer, as unfortunate as it sounds, and this is tragically ending his life, and it's condemnable, it is the primary job of the police to investigate it. And the police, again, we have to hear from the police. We haven't heard from the police. What are the police doing to bring closure to this so the military men and women believe that they are getting justice for their man who had been slain? My guests are joining me after this. Stay with me.